ask those like players like 10, what are they going to do after they graduate? Some people may like going to like be a professional outler. But some of the people they think I'm amateur. I just play in the college time, and after graduate I may become other career. I think this
Majority
is
of them, I think. You know?
yeah.
And I know it's not just football. That's the main revenue driver, obviously, which is why like the money issue. But
Basketball's probably more because of March Madness. Like the TV, I had an article. TV advertising for March Madness is $1 billion,
yeah.
which is more than all of NFL playoffs. So
Yeah,
it's
like
pretty crazy to think about.
yeah.
both football and basketball are the biggest,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think you know the
I think
value
we
of
should
the
go to
degree
criteria now,
aspect.
right? We talked about all this, right?
The academics. I think there's the severity of the problem with academics. I don't think is that bad because there's no way that Penn State makes classes specifically easier. Like say it. I mean, teachers probably know that they have a lot of student efforts in the class and like be easier. But like think of the easy classes you've taken. You know what I mean, to boost your GPA. It's kind of the same thing. And like people are, I guess, like smarter and not, I don't know, compared to each other. So classes are oriented for kids that aren't, you know, as bright as others. So I think it's not a matter of the athleticism and that academic thing.
Penn State wise, yeah, I don't think we have that issue.
Other
Supposedly just because like of our whole success with the honor thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But look at the Southern School,
Yeah.
like Florida State University, 35 of the kids on the national championship team were in this major called interdisciplinary
What does that even mean?
social science. Exactly. It's like the biggest bullcrap major
You're talking about Florida State? Are you
What?
talking about?
for a state.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. So it's like,
Well, that should be addressed by the NCAA as well.
yeah, that's something. I think it is something to consider if we're gonna make a solution. Cause like,
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a solution you guys might like.
Mhm.
But,
Alright,
I
so
hear that.
what's our criteria then? Let's
Yeah.
move to
Yeah,
that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
We've talked about
Gotta move on here.
Gotta keep on the agenda.
So our criteria would be like
Costs.
costs,
Um,
right?
Is it fair? Is it effective?
The cost of what?
The cost of paying athletes. The cost
Okay.
of
The cost
Yeah.
of giving the athletes.
Yeah.
So are you gonna say paying as in we are going to define that as like a stipend? Is that what we're gonna,
That would be in the
I don't think.
that would be in the
solution? Okay. No,
Yeah.
come on.
And you also have to think about like all the divisions in sports too, because like, would it be fair to give, you know, a Division I athlete who obviously is gonna generate more revenue for the NCAA, money or whatever we're talking about, and then a D3 athlete who probably will never go pro at all or anything like that.
And there aren't even athletically based scholarships in Division III. It's all academic based.
They call it.
Yes.
They call
It's
it
academic, but it's
Yeah.
really like a scholarship. But it's
Yeah.
there, in a lot of times it's not even that much money.
Right.
I think it goes back to, you know, that fair market value thing. So like if a player in a D3 school, their market value is not gonna be as high as somebody in a D1 school. So
Right.
that the amount of money that they're allocated would be very different. I think just depending on what their value would be in a fair
Mhm.
market.
Alright, so what's some other criteria?
Where's the money gonna come from? Essentially, like, who is gonna foot the ultimate bill? Is the NCAA going to pitch
Mhm.
X amount of revenue towards schools based on, I mean, essentially they would have to say, okay, Division I, each school gets X amount of dollars towards helping
Right.
support, and then Division II gets X amount, and then Division III gets X amount. So like a tier system almost.
That's good.
So like that would be, you know, who's actually going to pay for the bill, you know? Because then you could say, okay, the schools who generate the most are gonna get the most amount of money, but then that doesn't work at all because schools like Penn State don't really need that extra money. The schools that kind of don't generate any are the ones that need that extra money.
Right.
So it's almost like a free rider problem then, where you're giving money to the schools that don't really do much. You know, there's kind of like there.
Involved in the sports.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be a big thing is who's gonna pay? Like, how are you gonna figure out who's paying? Or does each,
And how much?
or does the NCAA say, exactly how much? So does the NCAA say, okay, you can pay your college athletes, and then, but do they put a minimum and a maximum on the sanctions? So like each tier has minimum and maximum, so like you can get between this much and this much. So like, for example, you're at least required to get $100 a month, no matter what school you go to in Division I, and then you can get a maximum of up to $500 a month, you know, and then that can be at discretion of the school.
Yeah, even it can be like the school's issue, not even
Mhm.
NCAA.
Yeah.
They can even opt for it, an option, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is where the money's going. But I think too, like, it's, the whole rule of the amateurism is what they call it.
Yeah, right, stuff like that.
They don't allow stipends or compensation, but I think that whole, do we have to abide by that? Like, is that gonna be a criteria still? Because I think, what am I trying to say? Like, should the rule be changed instead? You know what I mean? Like, should we be thinking in terms of like, we wanna change the rule, or we want to, is it just like an idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, just because you're
look
not
at
playing
that,
professionally doesn't mean like
yeah.
they don't have any skills. But then again, I mean, these kids are just coming right out of high school. Why should they just automatically just make like this huge sum of money
Right.
for not being trained?
And the problem with what are they gonna do with that money?
Yeah.
Most likely gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna educate them.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
also criteria-wise, is it every sport? Are we considering every sport of schools? 'Cause
That was the other
I-
question
that's it.
is,
I
like,
think it's-
are you gonna give the kid on the fencing team $500 a
No,
month?
I
They
think
wouldn't-
it's,
they
I
don't
think it's
send
in
out
top
tickets.
sports, like college basketball, college football, that's pretty much the problems here.
Mhm.
Like, other
Yeah.
than that, like, I really
Okay.
don't think.
And I know too, like, I don't, we're not athletes, but as a cheerleader, like, we don't get anything.
Right.
And so it's kind of like a thin line, because we do so much, like
Mhm.
and not just cheerleading, like we'll do community events, we'll do tailgates, like we go all over the place and we don't get anything. So I think too, like what exactly, if that would even be considered in that category of receiving any type of
Right. You
compensation.
guys have to try out, right?
Yeah, we try out.
Scholarships. I mean, some of these guys get full rides, and I mean, I think that's a great compensation. You don't have to pay anything, you get free housing, probably free food.
Food plan.
But there are some like sports that like you also have to work hard for, and you don't really get much. I get maybe half the scholarship.
We have a lot of half rides. Yeah, my cousin's actually coming here and playing lacrosse, and she got half.
Yeah. I mean, it's still good,
There's
but
nothing to
Like,
complain about.
nothing to you, Penn
It's,
State.
and, yeah, exactly, because they talk about, you know, how few college athletes are actually at the college. Well, if there's so few and the cost of adding a student is virtually nothing to the university, then why don't they all get their education for free?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't necessarily have to pay for their housing and stuff. I could see how that could end up getting expensive, but hey, your tuition, that's on us. Your education itself, your education and maybe like your books, that's on us. You
I know that there is, we have special libraries, that have all of our books, and if they don't have it, they'll order it in for you. So that is like something, and I think too, like the housing, everything is this school's way of getting around the NCAA's law, I guess, but it still isn't good enough, but it's very true.
Did we talk about like fairness? I don't think we talked about that, right? For criteria.
for cops.
Like, is it fair to, give money to, say, someone in D1 or not, something like that?
Oh.
Well, I think our overall question is, should college athletes be paid, right?
Right.
For their efforts,
For
so
their
if you're in a
efforts.
D3 school versus a D1 school, you're most likely not gonna put in as much time.
So
Yeah.
efforts is like the key there, yeah.
Like a D3 school would be more geared to actually the student part as opposed to the.
But you also think about, like, say we start paying, D1 athletes now, but like D1 athletes that played before, like, aren't they gonna get mad, like, oh, we should
Yeah.
get money, so we're gonna sue? And then that could be a huge problem that comes from paying now.
That's true.
That's what I'm talking about,
the-
fair, like.
The other thing too that you can look at there is like, I'm trying to connect because like you can look back to like the Olympics and stuff like that, and like no one was suing once they had allowed dream teams to start happening. They got rid of amateurism in the Olympics. Like
Mhm.
no one was suing for like, hey, well we could have won that gold medal because we're the best at basketball in the world and we have the best players here. But since we couldn't use the best professional players, we didn't have the best amateur players. So like that has to kind of be like put behind people, and like the case in which people could sue. I mean, rules change, laws
Yeah, if the
change.
NCAA changes their policy, then
The
there's-
policy changed when the players weren't in there, so they would just, I mean, it would clearly state that, okay, this is the year that we're gonna decide to give stipends to players
Mhm.
and not directly pay them.
What about ethical? Is it right?
Is it right to pay them?
Well, yeah, like
The
if
integrity
you're
of the
you're
sport.
well,
You're in college,
yes, the
playing
integrity
for
of the
the-
sport.
because you love the sport.
And apparently that in college, according to the NCAA, and according to, I guess, the schools too, like the only reason why these kids are here is for school, and then athletics for
Schools
second.
first, yeah, that's what they say, but it's not true. But
Yeah.
that's what they say.
So, I don't know if it's even ethical to,
Well, would it be more ethical to pay students? And this could also solve a lot of the across sports thing. Like, okay, so you say these sports, like you say any sport they can be paid under. Student and then universities can determine where they're gonna put their money for each sport. And then on top of that, students are paid based on the hours per week that they are required to be at practices and workouts.
Right.
So like just like any other job, because we're saying they don't have time to have jobs. This is their job. So okay, so you're at practice for 20 hours a week, and we're gonna pay you $10 an hour or whatever. So then you get $200 a week or whatever after taxes. Like, would it be fair? Like, is that a fair way to do it? Because if the argument is
Everybody's
really
getting
that
paid
they don't
like the same amount for doing less.
exactly. So then you just get like, oh cool, like I'm on the bowling team and I just go to the bowling alley for an hour a night and like that's awesome. And then like you're on the football team, like oh I just practice for 7 hours on Saturday, and it's like, so that's I think another question of fairness that we can consider is they should, if we're gonna say that this is their job, they should be paid like every other job is in the world and basically or every other job in college is on an hourly basis,
Right.
like a part-time job.
that is, yeah, I think the fairness, when our solutions are going to determine what's fair, not like, different solutions will be more fair than others.
But we're saying that it's fair for them to be compensated for their efforts right now, is what we're saying.
Yeah, they
We're not
can-
saying how,
Yeah,
but that it is.
oh, yeah.
I think how long are we in time, say?
It's one of those.
22.
Oh, shoot, am I even in?
What?
22 minutes.
22? Alright.
Yeah, your sound is in there. So.
Right.
We could probably go to solutions now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna spend the most time
Yeah.
talking about it
Yeah.
anyway.
Um,
I know with the cheerleading team, we, over breaks and things, have to travel, and it's like ridiculously expensive to eat when you're traveling. So, our booster club, and we actually had like what is it, when they a donation and you make money off of it. They
Oh.
just, like, I don't even know what it's called.
a grant?
It's like somebody donated a ton of money, and
Endowments.
it's maybe.
Endorse.
It's in like an account, and whatever interest is made, we get like to
A
help
trust.
us.
Yeah.
Trust maybe, I don't know.
I doubt.
It's not-
Whatever.
it's
So
not-
it
that's
helps
I'm not a
us
business
also.
major. I'm not a business major.
And that's like something that helps us pay for
Trust
things.
us.
So we all get
I don't know.
X amount of
It's a lot
money,
of money.
depending on how many days we're gone. It's a set number a day for food.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like any job would, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and I know that there's a lot of people out there willing to donate that money, so that's an option to help kids. So that even they'd be allowed.
So what we would say that would be like just boosters.
Yeah, just like I guess donors, like friends, booster, like donor.
And I think about like because some like athletes, they are going to like training every day, so they just don't have many times on study and stuff. So I think like school can set up the specific course for these athletes to just like at the beginning to set this course, like we have like for example like CAS 100, maybe we can set a kind of CAS class for them called CAS 100 sports or other stuff, like just athletes can enter. Yeah, and then before they enter, they are going to consider if they are going to treat their career fair. I mean, in sports as professional or amateur. So if they're amateur, maybe they just go to the like CAS 100 like us. But if they're professional, they can talk with advisor and then ask advisor to put them in the list, in the CAS, like the special course list.
So would this be like a special class to like help them decide if they're gonna go here for school versus athletics? Or it's just like, this course is for athletes only?
For athlete only, because they have some like problem with like maybe studying like us, like we have like plenty of time to study, but they have to training. So maybe just make the course much more simple for them, like easier for them to
They-
help them to get
I know
the